Parks on the air.
Parks on the Air. It's a fun little hobby. Do we have to go way out in the woods somewhere to do POTA?
Nope.
Most of us do it at home for what's called a hunter. You can go out, it's fun to go out and practice setting up your equipment out in the woods somewhere. So let's go take a look at what it is. Can you see that okay without me changing?
Yep.
Okay? So to get started, you go to parksontheair.com. That's where all the big stuff is, and it's most of us are not even familiar with this page. So we're already either past that, or we just skipped it along the way. Why does it not show? It's not showing what's on my screen.
If you're in present mode, did it open to a different tab somewhere else?
Anyway, let's just do it this way. The parksontheair.com is where you go to get started. That's where you can go to sign up, get your information. The docs and history page there gives you everything you need to know and leads you through it. And then the resources and how it's, the history, how it's talked about, and then to get started. So let me see if it will let me.
I think if you hit the escape button, Terry, it'll bring it down from full screen, and then you can go to the tab where you have the internet browser.
Not that far down though, huh? There. Go in and you've got your two options here under that help and get started. You can sign up for POTA, which is pretty straightforward. You do have to have a license, put your license number in, and you can just go in and create your account. And the other thing is all the rules and regs. You know, we can't do anything without a lot of rules, a lot of guidelines. But it also gives you getting started as a hunter, getting started as an activator, and the getting started video guide. I'm not going to play it, but this video at the bottom of the page here is really good about just getting started and getting yourself oriented to it. So if you start out at POTA.com, it will take you there. You see it changed me over to POTA.app. POTA.app is where we're going to go next. A lot of movement. This mouse just does not like to work on this table right here. Y'all know you realize I don't do this for a living, right?
Are you trying to go to another slide?
Yeah.
You can use the arrow buttons up and down.
So that's what we learned. So there you go. And that just lets you go back to see who's out there. And let's just go see who's out there.
Then you have to select escape again to get out of the presentation view mode.
Really dry.
You need to be mouthpiece.
Yes, okay.
Trying to get rid of that left click that I got myself into there. Does that look familiar? That was my.
Would you like me to come be your driver?
That's what I said, he needs to be the mouthpiece.
He needs a dog.
That would, no, I'm saying it.
Hit the escape button again.
I was on the escape now.
Straight clean.
There we go.
No? I just still want to show the PowerPoint. PowerPoint. I'll talk about it. The first time I ever did this, any kind of presentation, 1996, we had redeployed from Romania. And we were thinking we were big dogs. First PowerPoint presentation I'd ever done. And we ended up going up to Best Buy or somebody renting big screen TVs. You talking about a dog and pony show. We were able to do a dog and pony show because no one in our command had ever done a PowerPoint presentation before then. And we started something really bad. Then we had a little bit. We're still seeing my slide.
Who's out there, Lane? Is that the one?
Yeah. Can you go to that range? Basically, the Who's Out There link is going to take us to the map. And if you look in our region, you've got Piedmont Jacksonville. The one that's between Piedmont and Jacksonville there is Dover Mountain. That's in the nature reserve, the reserve over there. And then you have the ones out of Jackson, that are south of Jacksonville there. You've got Baines Gap, where we're going next week. You've got the Choccolocka State Forest, and then you have Talladega National Forest. So all of those are right in that region right there.
Is this the string?
That's one thing, yes. And you can go in here and search under the entities and take it anywhere you want to take it to see what's out there. This is more for you as a activator. Because you can't activate if you don't know where you're going. All right, let's go back out of that one. Back in the power center. Yeah, fine. Yeah. Okay. So we talked about, that's the big map. And if you're going to hunt, you go to the various sorting options. And let me show you something real, go back to that POTA ATP. Bear with me. I have a new assistant. One of the things when you pull up, and you've all done it, when you pull up the POTA page, one of the things you see is, keep going, hit spots. How many of you have seen this page before? Where it's pretty confusing because you've got a lot of sort options. You can sort by anything across the top. The default is by time. So what happens when you default by time is the last person to be spotted jumps to the top. If you have a really active station, they're going to stay up top as the one that's defaulted. I keep mine on frequency. That way, if I know it's on frequency, I can sort by the frequency I'm going to use at that time. Let me show you a really cool trick though. Go over here under the dark bars, right to the left of the cartoon there. Inside the screen. That one. There. Go down. Go down. Right there where it says prefer table view. That one.
Turn it off, sorry. I was just a little slow. I guess the internet's slow.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Running off my phone Wi-Fi. Put it back. They kept turning it off again.
This will be a, boom, you're gonna get blown away now. See, look how easy that is now. Go up and hit the sort. And you can do regions, you can do frequencies, you can do all the other things that you want to do. And it makes it so much simpler. You're not, gotcha.
So if you're an activator, and you want to be seen on this, if you're an activator, you log in, you log on, and that's what goes on here, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll cover that in just a moment. I think I actually have that piece of it in here. But this, as a hunter, I found this to be the bum diggity, because you can sort through and go back up to the top. On the QRT, so all of us know what QRT, right? What's QRT mean to you?
With hand.
I'm done. So you can hide anybody that's QRT or you can show them. And it's just going to blow up everybody that's been out there in the last day. So I keep the QRT in the hide mode. If they're not there, I don't want to try to chase them. And the same goes with the hunted mode. If you turn that one to show all, even if you just worked them 15 minutes ago, they're going to show up. So if you hide the hunted, as soon as you spot them, they go away. Let me go here on this side. And what, so we keep it on high. And let's say we worked that top station. Then we can do a respot, and I think that's what you're talking about. Go here to the respot, far right, the green arrow, that one, click that one. We'll escape out of it. If you just work someone, and they just, they're in New York or somewhere, and they say they're running 5 watts, and you got a really great 5.9 signal out of them, you can actually make your comments right there. I keep it where I just copy and paste it most of the time. But that just tells them that's the call sign that's activating, that's the spotter call sign is you as the hunter. And then it's the frequency you're on, the park number, and then you comment. Usually it's great to hear you, 5959. But that's how you get it going. And remember we looked at the time there earlier? If you're sorting by time, that's the one that keeps them at the top of the page. If no one ever respots them, they never go back to the top of the page. That's why sometimes if you're working, you see someone that, man, they haven't been respotted in 15, 20 minutes, but you get over there and there's a pile up. It's because nobody has respotted them to update that time. Questions on the sort and why that thing was so much simpler to do sort that way? You can run it the other way, but all you got to do is go down there and change your parameters. All right, let's go back to the PowerPoint. So we went through the sorting, and then you go, what is your requirement as a hunter to log the contact?
You don't have any, do you?
You don't have any. The activator does the logging in the Parks on the Air software. As a hunter, I log them in my logbook just because I keep up with who I talk with. But there's no requirement for you to log. They will log them The excavator will log it, and that's how you get load flow. Let's go back over to the out page that we just looked. Give a good hand for this guy. The other now.
I'll get to it from here, is it favorite?
It should be there in the fire office. Yeah. Just minimize that. Well, you get to it, well, hit the who's there. We can go there, we can go there. Who's there? Yeah, I'll give you a sign. Hit the, jump and get started. Go back to the map, color map. That gives us your picture. It's not really that complicated. This podium doesn't like my mouse light for some reason. It makes it jump around. All right, so I'm logged in. So go over to my call sign down in the upper right-hand corner. If you've never set up an account, but you've been scrolling frequencies and you've had someone that, you've had a park and you actually contacted a park, that added to your logs. So go into my hunter log. Go back to the awards. You get awards and it's all automatically done. You don't have to apply to get them put in there or anything. But if you just scroll down, then the next slide.
I want to see the word.
You just scroll down. So that's a Georgia, that's for 800 different units. Worked on 50 states. And then there's, all of this stuff is there. If you have made contact with someone at a park, but you don't even have an account, as soon as you create your account, it pops. So you may have numbers there that you never even knew you had. But there's 100 all 50 states. You notice I don't have Hawaii. Washington, D.C. is a wild card. If you do D.C., it becomes a wild card, so I get credit for 50 states even though I've never contacted Hawaii. They're really hard to get. And then that's just some of the miscellaneous, all other references. You see I've only activated 2 states, Georgia and Alabama. Not a lot of activations I've been able to do. All right, let's go back up. And then, let's say all the different, 500 units on the phone, 200 units on the phone. Someone just sits there and the system calculates all that. Okay, we can go out of there and back to PowerPoint. And next slide. Next slide. And then this is just a picture of what the map was. We can go to the next slide. Now, Charles asked me earlier, when are we going to see where we're going next weekend? And this is the whole premise of this thing, folks. I'm leading you into next weekend, right? That's where we're going. All you got to do is write that down, take a picture of it, and that's where we'll be. This is a Mountain Longleaf National Refuge. It's a big long title. This is a quarter mile inside the refuge. Is it on top of the mountain? No. The best spot to do this park activation is probably on top of the mountain. It's 4 miles off the paved road on the dirt road. Really well maintained, but I drive a truck. This area is a quarter mile inside the parameters, and as the requirement for parks on the air, as long as you are inside the parameters of the park. So this gets us well inside the parameters of the park. There's a lot of parking here. There's more parking right on the other side of the little viaduct, and it's open on both sides of the road. There's not any no parking signs. There's not any stay away signs. The only sign that says don't go here is on that gate back there. So we'll be able to go here next weekend. Let's go to the next slide. So I know that Merrill and Eddie, who else has done, Ken, who else has done a lot of activation? Are they the only guys that's done activation? Okay. Well, it's a lot of fun. And it's standard CQ. CQ POTA, WB4GNA. Why did I say WB4GNA? Because that's our club call. Next weekend, we're doing a club activation. And because I had to go through hoops to find out what, to get our club sign-in reset for POTA, it had been set up about 5 years ago. Actually longer than that. So I went through and got all that reset. So there's the password. Anybody wants, that thinks that everybody want to take and use the club call sign, there's the password. There's a couple of different ways that you go out as a group. One of the ways you go out as a group is you use a club call sign. And I'll tell you one of the really neat parts about that in a moment. The other way is you pass the mic. If you've got Alpha Bravo 4 Mike that's calling the park, then he would hand off the mic to K and 4 QR. Help me, Eddie. The ZRH. It's KN4 ZRH. KI4ZRH. He would hand off the mic. Doesn't have to be the right call. And there's this many, sometimes those folks will go and there'll be as many as 4 people on in the same park, and they'll pass that mic 4 or 5 times. It's not necessary. When we log, we're going to log as WB4GNA. And I'll show you the logger here in a moment as well. If I get too long, if I get ready to leave, just tell me to push. And then I'm going to save that WB4GNA with the file name that I have down there already. Ken asked me when we were talking about doing this presentation what we would do with loggers, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. But that's it. This is WB4GNA at US. When did we start using US?
It was last year.
We need forward.
Around June or so.
Yeah. Because POTA got so popular worldwide, we were kilo. Every park in the United States was kilo. And they were kilo with 4 digits. They filled it up. Then those guys, it's a all volunteer team that does this. They filled it up, and then they said, okay, well, let's change it up. So now, we went to US, Canada went to CA, and then you got England is like EG or EN. So it becomes more specific. But then when you get into pileups, you don't even have to repeat that call very often, but you do have to remember, hey, there's some new people that's going to be rolling into this frequency. Let me make sure I say who I am. So about every 3rd or 4th call, if I get some pileups, I'll go ahead and give them a call sign out again. Okay, we can go to the next one. Well, let me see. Questions on this, on how we call CQ? What's going on there? Okay.
Hey, Terry.
Okay.
Yes.
Out of curiosity.
Huh?
Are you out of curiosity? Y'all gonna be on the mountain or?
No, we're going to be down the flat.
Back?
Which way do HF signals go?
Beats me, I don't remember.
HF stop line of sight. Is it better if you're on top of the mountain? Yeah, you can go further. But we're going to be down on the flat.
So y'all gonna be on the,
We're going to be on Bad Scout Road.
well, on Choctaw or on the Fort
On
McCollum?
Fort McClellan side.
Okay.
It's a quarter mile from the sign that designates you're inside the wilderness.
Well, there was a city limit sign, past it.
No, you know where Baby Baines Gap turns off to the right?
Yeah.
This is a quarter mile further.
Okay.
The reason it's got this link down there is because I use N3FJP, my login software, and I can run it that way. And that's why I have it here. N3FJP is my preferred software. I've been using it for years. I use it for everything. You know, if you don't have it and you're gonna stay in the amateur radio world, try to do any contest whatsoever, even if it's just field day, this is the best money you ever spent in your life. I think when I bought it, it was like $49 for the full package. This team puts out a new package for every contest, every year. And they'll put out, and they go through revisions, they take hints and go through. I'm going to post this entire presentation on the Facebook page, on our page for the club. But because I use N3FJP, that is the format that I'll use. And then the logging requirements, you set up your logging requirements, the call that you're talking to, obviously, the date, the time, the man, the mode, the operator, and the station call sign. So why would the operator station call sign be important if you're working on WB4GNA? You know, anybody that's ever used N3FJP, you have the option to change that operator. When you change seats, you change the operator. If not, I get all the credit for Sherry's calls that she makes. You go to settings and change the operator. Two other pieces of information here is the SIG info and my SIG info. One of the things the people that have been activating for years and years like to do is park to park. And if you've ever sat there very long and listened to anybody, you've heard park to park. They will leave you in a heartbeat to go to a park to park that they can barely hear or you barely hear. So you want to have that in your log as an option. So that's what the SIG info is. It's for park to park. My SIG info is my part. N3FJP, because they're such a popular program, logging program, they have a complete section in the Parks on the Air webpage that tells you how to set them up. Early on, they were one of the most preferred logging. Now that's changed a lot, and Ken can tell you, because a lot of people want to do more portable logging now than they did when this was going on. But when you go in there and do the logging, you want to make sure that when you sit down and start keying that map, you want to make sure it's got your settings there, so you get credit. When you do create that Hunter account, you get credit for those contacts you made with WB4GNA. Now, they built that website in such a way. Can we go back to the AGP site that has me logged in? That one, go in under the ID over there, under the call sign, and where it says, what does it say, monologue? Monologue. One more time. Down one more time. Down. So those are the parks that I've activated and logged. You can do paper logs all day long. You see that one failed activation I had? I did paper logs, and when I sat down and add this with SIG info and my SIG info fields, because you've got the options for the others. Because I had set it up in the past, when I put it on this laptop, it immediately jumped. I didn't even have to set it up the second time. All right, let's go back to the PowerPoint. Go to the next slide. Oh, we were done with the slides. Okay, and all of this is going on the club page, so you'll be able to scroll through it a little bit. Where are we at? Any questions? We talked a little bit about timeline for next weekend. The last
question.
Yeah, Charles.
A buddy of mine who's a POTA guru says he rides around in the Winnebago everywhere to all these state parks. But he doesn't send, he just sends, CQ POTA and his call sign. So he's just, in other words, we're doing it as a club.
Yeah,
So that's why have to send
yeah,
WB4GNA, okay.
yeah, he does his call sign because he submits his logs from his call sign. If we're gonna submit this log as a WB4GNA, then that way, when it's logged, but all those operators are gonna pull out and get credit for making the contact.
I understand.
That's your hand. You just stretch and dot.
That's it.
All right. So next weekend, the Lions Club race is 7:25-ish, 7:30. Usually over by 9:30. And then, in the past, we have left there and gone to Jack's there in Linlock and hung out a little while. And when I started knocking this around a month or so back, talked to Sean a little bit about it. Sean, Susan's husband, has really been wanting to get out there and do a little POTA. He wants to see what POTA's all about. So I said, okay, this is a great opportunity. I'm at McClellan. I've already got my day tied up, so I'm not going to be rescheduling for something else. Let's add this in. So that's how we got to where we're going to be for next weekend. There's a dozen of us, I guess, that are going to work the Lions Club event. Anybody else that wants to work it, wants to come out on a station, let me know, and we can certainly add you in on a station. Then when we close out, 9:30 to 10 o'clock, that's when we're going to drive out to that location in the picture. If someone gets out there ahead of me and wants to go ahead and set their station up portable, that'd be great. Ken, if you want to go on out and set up, the rest of us will just pile in there with you. And then we'll sit there until we just don't want to sit there anymore. The minimum to activate a part, it's a minimum 10 contacts. And that's so that they don't continually get people submitting logs with 1 or 2 contacts just to see how many parts they can do. And there are some activators that activate from home. They've done a better job of isolating those, but there's still some folks that activate from home. So if you're not taking part in the Lions Club next weekend, but you still want to come out and see what setting up there doing it all about, come on out. Be glad to have you. I'm not going to run a fancy antenna system. I'm running a ham stick off the truck coming back now. Ken's got his Wolf River coils. Some of them are more stable than others. You can go out, and what do you guys use on horsepower? No, Merrill and Eddie were on horsepower last month.
17-foot whip with a 40-40.
Which is what that is. Those of you don't know, 40-40 is Wolf River coils. Wolf River coils are some great vertical opportunities for HF. Any questions? If you want to just come to me afterward or reach out to me between now and then, that'd be fine. Yeah.
Let me comment on something. I know this all seems a little bit confusing, I'm sure, to some people, but there's a lot of info put out. The truth is, once you sign up at the POTA page, like you said, it's going to populate any park you've already been to, or that you've already contacted, because I contacted a bunch before I ever knew what POTA was.
Yeah.
But, so it popped a bunch in. But once you signed up on the POTA page and started out as a hunter, you don't have to do anything on there. They do all the work.
Everything's done for you.
But after a while, you start getting familiar with everything, and everything starts making sense to you. And the jump to an activator is going to be a lot easier. So if you think, well, I'm just going to jump to activator, well, you can, but it's a little more complicated. But just sign up for the POTA page and see what happens. You might find you already got some parts in there, and you learn about geography. You know, it's all the stuff that we do with ham radio. It really comes together in POTA. But,
And you do find with some parks, on one of those parks in Georgia, I found out later that it was rare to get an activation there because it's real close to a power plant. You actually drive down into the river bottom and it's real close to a power plant. But I actually ran my Silver Bullet off of the corner of the truck with a 102-inch whip. And that's what I was using for 40 that day. So there's a lot of options, and you can make it as hard or as simple as you want to do it. What is that guy? Is it KB9 JBR? There's a group that just does, he's out of Wisconsin, and he's constantly doing POTA activations. Last weekend, and we just missed it, last weekend was Georgia POTA weekend, and I think that last Sunday was Alabama POTA weekend. So we just missed that. But there's a group from over in Georgia that's going to be on Cheaha next weekend. Who did they talk to this morning? They talked to somebody this morning that they're going to be on Cheaha next weekend doing POTA activation, spending the weekend up there. So maybe we get to talk to them and get a park to park.
And another thing, if you like camping and taking your travel trailer or whatever, parks and things, this is a good source because you'll hear people talk about their park and the park they're in and what they can do there. So,
Yeah.
Or you can just ask them, hey, what do y'all do at that park?
Yeah, some of my activations were at Wind Creek. We camped at Wind Creek a couple of years ago. Yeah, Ken?
Yeah, one of the things I want to add is, not all parks are totally happy about, ham radio operators going out there. Make sure you know what park, what the rules are. Some places might have, like if it's a national grave site, you might have special rules about what you can and can't do at that park. And this is one time I did this for lighthouses on the air, but I screwed up royally and didn't know that at the time. Went on to Pensacola Naval Air Station. And, they said you had to leave your cell phone off. This is a military base. I'm like, oh yeah, sure, I understand. Went to the museum, had a great time. Then I went to the lighthouse. I thought, hey, a lighthouse activation. So I operated from Pensacola Lighthouse for about a day. You're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to transit from that military base. So I totally screwed that up. Luckily I wasn't caught, but knowing the rules is very important.
Hey, if you don't get caught, it's not against the rules. Just saying.
They don't ask forgiveness.
Yeah.
Yeah, but when you're posting, hey, I did this activation, and 30 people can prove it, this kind of sucks a little bit.
But the way I came up with the spot that we're going to use next week, I wanted, like I say, I went up to the top of the mountain, the 4-mile dirt road off the mountain, and made a lot of contacts up there. It was just a Tuesday that I was on the road. So, but I thought, here I am on top of the mountain. I'm going to be by myself. It's a Tuesday afternoon at like 3 o'clock. Nobody out that day, right? One car, truck, Jeep. There was like 7 or 8 vehicles came in just while I was sitting there talking on the radio. So I said, okay, that's probably not the site that we need to try to use, because if it's that busy on a Tuesday afternoon, maybe real busy on a Saturday morning. But that lets us get out there on the side of the road, it's flat ground, and we'll get 10 activations. We'll activate the park. There won't be any problem with us doing that. Other questions? Anything else? David, we're done. So the club meeting is already adjourned, so go forth and be free.